Street and 167 Avenue, the county line of Lucas County and Marion County. So here's the town of Purdy. There must have been some of it over here in these trees, I guess.
Yeah, on this side of the road with some of the bigger parts of the city.
And then Grandma and Grandpa's house was down here, but it's gone now.
Well, they tore it down. They built a new house at that same location.
Yeah. So this is the location of their old house. It's just gone now.
Yeah.
They had a nice spot here, didn't they? Yeah. Up on the hill.
See, the Pecks in the first place were, you must remember that they were from the east, Vermont and New York, but they came to Iowa. See, they didn't come so far west as the Elliots did. And I believe that land was already perhaps homesteaded. As far as I know, I don't believe the Pecks homesteaded. 3 little boys and came out to this country, and it was in the winter and the cold, and she got pneumonia and she died.
She's buried down in Preston.
And buried in Preston. Well, you see, Marcellus Peck, they still had this farm in farming land in Lucas County, and he then was ill. He had very poor health, though he was a young man. Having been in the Civil War, then, you know, that was not easy then. The wars are not easy now, and they certainly weren't easy then.
Mom says she recognized a lot of Civil War songs from the get-togethers, the sing-a-thons, or whatever you had at...
Grandpa Marcellus Peck always sang to her. You must remember that he didn't die till 1904, so she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And he sang them to her, and she was his very favorite grandchild, perhaps the only one that lived around there. And so he was very partial to her and sang the lovely songs, and she remembered them. And she always said how nice he was to her. And he died the last day of May, and I was born in July.
Of 1904.
Yes. His grave, of course, is in the New Bern Cemetery, and we always went there for the decoration. That's why that I especially always loved Decoration Day, because as a child, Cassie and I probably were 7, 6, and 8 along there, and we would bring the white peonies and lay on all the old soldiers' graves, and the pretty American flag was flying on the from the graves.
Yeah, I remember going to New Bern over the years, quite a few different decoration days.
Oh, I know Leila Love to go, and she went every time she could.
Well, Margaret, did you say Margaret Peck?
Yes, she's buried here too.
Right. And she's buried right there too.
Yes, she's buried right there.
Oh, for goodness sake.
That's too bad.
But 1869, they say they came from Cleveland to the Elliots.
The Elliots came over from England in 68, and then they settled there at Cleveland, Ohio. Father was a plasterer by trade. He had a brother with him that was not married. They knew then that the Kansas land was open for settlement. In 1871, then, they came on to Kansas, and it was just below what is now Pawnee, village of the Indians, that they took this homestead.
Well, now where we were at the museum, is that where Pawnee Village was?
That was the Pawnee Indian village, and on account of them being so high was the Indian lookout. And the Indians, of course, were not all of them were there yet, but there were many. He went back to England and to visit and see relatives that he had left back, and he got very ill. Oh, just down in bed, sick for a long time, and he finally died over there.
In England.
In England. So they never saw him anymore. See, she came to visit us in Iowa, and bless her heart, she always spoke so sweetly and say, "Thee and thou do this and that."
Anne Freegard-Elliott, who
And
came from
Nennis,
England.
Yeah.
It was English that you hadn't heard. You didn't use.
No, we didn't. We didn't say thee and thou. They had such a desire to come to this new country that they had courage to come on boats that threw water up on all the little babies' clothes, and such a long, long voyage with a mother and 3 tiny little ones coming over to reunite with her husband, who has been here a couple of years, and all that desire and love and longing to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I had no desire to go back over there. I want that desire to be here.
Yeah. Well, how did the Pecks and the Elliots ever get together?
Well,
Pecks was back south of, they were at Purdy.
Well, what brought them out to Nebraska then, or Kansas?
How did Grandpa Peck ever meet Grandma?
Well, you see, that's a long story, because the Elliots were living in Kansas on their homesteads. They, of course, all this land was very productive, and they built it up, and all had lovely homes and did so many wonderful things as their families grew, and the years passed. I can't think of what the year must have been that Mama's sister Eliza married a young man right there at Republic, and they decided then they would go east, and he went to St. Joe, Missouri, and Mama went there to her sister's place, and of course she got a job in the overhaul factories, and they had all these sewing machines, and oh my, that was wonderful. How long they worked there, I imagine a year or two. Then they went to Denver, so that's how Mama got out to Denver, because she went with Sister Eliza. And then it was during this time, I suppose, that Papa was a young man, and he had a brother, Charlie, who lived in Denver, and so Papa went out there and worked at the dairy, Brumley Dairy. And when Mama went with her sister Eliza and family to Denver, then she got a job at the Bromley household.
Oh, I see.
So that's how
there.
Isn't that strange how roundabout?
Well, was Grandpa and Grandma Peck married in Denver?
Yes.
And then they lived there for a while.
Yes, they did. Yes, they were married. But that's how they met. It's interesting how the 2 lines of families travel, but it is really interesting, because we know that when so many of the immigrants came over from other countries, and they all came west.
Their family must have made several trips.
They made many trips, because
back and forth between
Yeah.
Denver and Lucas County, Iowa,
Yes.
between 1896 and 19.
4 and so on and so forth.
Well, then in the years, say like Mom was born in 1896 or thereabout in Denver,
Mm-hmm.
and Cassie was born. Where was she
She was
born?
born in Denver.
And then Grandma Peck.
Wasn't well and was hardly able to take care of things, and so that's why my parents came back so they could look after the farming.
Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Iowa, Lucas County.
Lucas County.
See, I went to kindergarten in Denver. That when we lived, one of the trips back to Denver, I was 5 years old, and so I got to go to kindergarten then. It was in 1910 we moved back to Iowa and took over the farm.
Did you go to Bryce College some?
Oh yes, that's my first year of school then when we moved back to Iowa. I was ready for school and Leila and Cassie were both in school and we all three went.
That's Brush College right there. Right there is Brush College.
Oh, you're going to get the mud, Bob.
Well, we'll keep the back wheels
Oh,
on the
you
road.
sure do. Won't anybody else be coming, Lily?
No, Ella.
Not this week.
And then it was during those years that the railroad came through.
And the railroad workers came through.
And then put up the depots and all the little towns sprung up over Iowa. And not only over Iowa, but all over this land of ours.
Where was that viaduct that Grandpa Peck's picture was by built?
that
Oh,
hang
that's
there?
up here.
North?
Yeah, it's north here.
Told me where it
It's all
was.
filled in now. Actually, I got them right between the rails,
Looking north.
looking north.
Is that the Melinda Church right there?
Well,
That's where you went to church.
Yes, that's where we came out here to the country to church. Ezra McKim held a meeting and we all came to the meeting in the cold, wintry time. This was a Christian church and everybody after the meeting, everybody got baptized. And we were all baptized in the winter.
I used to go down there to the Pecks on a Sunday, and I'd go down there between trains from Hartford and sitting there in the living room.
At Purdy?
Yeah, and I can remember that. Them two little devils, Cassie and Della, and these two girls, they'd sit on the dining room, there by the dining room table, and holding up. They was looking at the funny picture, and they'd punch a hole in the paper. Oh, I can remember that just playing. You want to get a picture of that old house?
They enclosed the porch.
The old pump is still there. Seemed to me like there's a chicken house or something there. And they had their garden on there too. Good well down there at the barn too. You know, there's a sack of beer down the bottom of it too. I suppose still there. We lost 50 years ago. Had it hanging in the well to keep it cold.
And Della was telling about when Grandpa and Grandma Love came down the day before the wedding.
1915, we was married right there in that house.
In the living room, I reckon.
Christian
I was
preacher,
married.
Ezra McKim.
See, Lester was at the depot, and his mother and father, Mary and Frank, lived in
Wedding license.
Carlisle.
Where did you have to go to get
There it
wedding
is.
license?
Sure.
Sheridan.
I wasn't 21 quite.
Oh.
November 17th, they were married, so you probably got your license when Grandpa Love, when your father came
Yeah.
on that week of November. Lester's mother and father came and nested all night. And so we had
Yes,
fixed the
good
room
there.
real nice. And then we fixed a nice front room where they were going to get married. And they stood in front of that lovely window, and there's where Kim married him. And we had a lovely dinner. Mama had fixed a table with a lovely white linen tablecloth and pretty dishes and napkins. And we had a nice dinner.
Depot used to be right over there. It's over the hill there.
On this side of the track?
On the other
On the
side.
other side of the track.
Yeah. 2 boxcars put together.
Yes.
Is that all they ever had was 2 boxcars?
And over across the track on top of the hill there was where the original store was that Francis Carson had. And Leila had the post office over there. So he built the store here and they moved over here. The store was right here. Now there's part
Yes,
of the,
there's the foundation, and the mill and store were here.
and the mill was right next behind it. Now I don't know, there's a well out there. I don't remember that old well.
Looks like there's a cave
Yes.
beyond that.
Well, we didn't have one anyway.
The pump, Lester, see where the pump is, was right
Yeah.
at your back door. Don't you remember you came down the steps and there was our well water? Do you remember that?
I don't remember the
I
pump,
do. I remember the pump.
but
There's a cave right there just east of that.
No,
That must be part of the foundation of that other house.
yeah, I
Right.
imagine it is.
Grandpa, when did Grandpa move off that farm at Lucas County?
We'll see when
Where did you go from there?
we built the new houses. Leila and Lester had a brand new house when they were married, and Uncle Charlie Peck came from Denver and built it, and he also built a new one for Pop. And
Right
we
there
sold
by the mill.
mill. Papa sold the farm, and we moved up there. And Papa run the mill, and that's what we did. Wheat, flour, and he had a small acreage there, garden and strawberries.
And old Mitchell had the lumber yard here in the corner on the other side. But there was 3 houses here, and the store, the mill, and the store.
Now those were new houses, very lovely, and they were moved away to someone bought and moved them. You see, Lester went Minneapolis, Minnesota to take that training for.
Mhm.
We're putting those new things in, telegraphy.
Yeah.
Yes, see the depots, and he went to Minneapolis and got the schooling that summer. He left Purdy then, Leila and little Evelyn. Little towns sprung up because they were still what you would say horse and buggy days, and the cars were just becoming. That's what spoiled all the little towns and everything. Is when they got the cars, Model T Fords.
Della, when you stop to think, we left here in 1918.
Why, of course we did.
Well, then later, did you live in Carlisle?
Yes, and it was then.
At Carlisle or Hartford?
Uh-huh.
I think you worked at Hartford Depot for a while.
Yes, and lived in Carlisle when the lemon passed away.
You lived in Carlisle a little while?
Yes.
A year or so.
A year. And see, Papa had some work there with the railroad. Well, see, all of this railroad work and everything was running out. Mary and Frank's, and 2 real nice girls who came. One of them's name was Tressa Epps. Grandma Love did some sewing, so she made a pretty dress for this Tressa Epps.
That's my aunt. Tressa married my uncle.
Yes, all
I
right.
knew that.
No, I did not know.
And
Isn't
then
that-
when you came to Nebraska,
And
came
then
to
we
Superior.
came out to Republic County where all of Mama's people were,
Oh,
because Papa was going to farm. Because he did it with the team and horse-drawn machinery.
trying to think the other day, what year did you move to Rock Island?
In '53.